Hello and welcome to Season 16 of AOR on the F6 tier of the PS4. You join us here for round 1 at Australia, where as you can see I will be in the Renault, teaming up with Don Silva. For the majority of the season my plan is to do live commentary in the party chat between me and Don. However, for this race I completely failed to get the settings right, so we're going to go for a post commentary on this one. Having had quite a successful first season in AOR in Season 15 on the pad, I've now switched across to the wheel, and this will be my first full competitive race after the evaluation race. So really my expectations aren't too high, I'm just trying to find some consistency and see what I can do here. Anyway, we join it here on my outlap for my second run in qualifying. The first attempt I managed a 22.0, which I wasn't too happy with, to be honest, and so definite improvements to be found round the lap to see if we can get a solid starting position within the top 10. So I managed to get a slightly better run through turns 1 and 2, heading down into braking zone for turn 3, 10th and a bit up. Little bit of distraction from the traffic on the inside, but they got well out of the way. I continue on round, having actually lost that time that we made up, but still hoping this could be a good lap. Another decent exit there and making up more time on that first lap. Unfortunately, coming into the fast left-right, it was slightly too deep on the way in, and again that delta is starting to head back close to the evens mark, and this really isn't going to be a huge improvement, which is a big disappointment considering what I know I can do. Another mess up on that line with more cars on the right and left. But a good run out the last corner means I will improve by just over 4 tenths, and for now that is a 21.6 and puts me in 7th place. Moving on to the final run in qualifying now, just coming around the last couple of corners to start the lap. Really needing an improvement on these ultra softs to start right up the front of the grid, because at the moment it's looking like a lower end of the top 10 start, which is not ideal starting on the worn ultra softs, where those 11th, 12th, 13th would be able to start on fresh tyres and really have the better strategy in the race.
Just 30 seconds left in the session.
Still not much to choose between this lap and the previous one, with the delta just ducking back into the red again. A slight squirm off that corner there on the curb, again just dropping down further and further on that previous lap. But still the potential to gain a couple of tenths here through the final couple of corners where there were 1 or 2 mistakes in my previous lap. However, that is a much bigger mistake and we will have to abort this run, and that is our final qualifying time of a 21.6. Very disappointingly, that did indeed leave me in P9 with teammate Don in P10, so the two worst grid positions you could say in this race. with a couple of cars even in front qualifying on the super soft. So here we are on the grid, 5 lights and held for a long time, away we go. It's a decent start, maybe even with those around us, but we'll look to find some space into turn 1. A little bit appears on the outside, but unfortunately just get pushed onto the curbs slightly, which takes away any momentum, and we're down to P11 on the run down into turn 3. Flarakello there going very deep, pushing Don wide, and again myself just having to slow down for that, but we do make it past him on the exit, and we have held P9 with Don in front having gained a couple of positions, so a decent start for the Renault boys. Just a couple of corners later and Don gets a great run on, I'm not quite sure who it is in front, but up the inside for the fast left-right of 11-12. He actually just backs out of it there, but gets a much better exit, and I'm actually going to follow him straight through here and almost think about a move up the inside of Don as well, but think better of it. Lap 1, race 1, not really wanting to take out your teammate at this stage. A little bit deep into the penultimate corner, and I think it's Slossy behind, almost gets us back, but we're up into P8, and now it's just time to settle into this race and try and stick with Don in front. I am trying to make a one-stop work here, even having started within the top 10, so starting on used ultra softs and then a switch to the softs somewhere between laps 7 and 9 probably, which makes this stint of the race mostly about conserving tyres, trying not to overheat them, which is the massive difference from this game to the last. So we're sticking with Don quite consistently here, just about a second and a half behind, unfortunately out of the DRS zone for the coming lap 3 when it will be activated, to just ease the pressure there and stay with him more easily without having to burn up the fuel and overuse the battery on the ERS.
DRS is now enabled. Will be available to use when you are within 1 second of the car ahead in the DRS zone.
We cut ahead to lap 6 here, where as you can see the gap's still pretty similar, and that's a bit of a hairy moment through turn 5, but managed to catch it and only lost a small amount of time there. But the ultra soft's definitely starting to feel fairly dodgy at this point in the stint, and really just looking forward to getting to that pit stop safely and put on the fresh set of tyres. The super soft runners behind starting to put the pressure on, and it's not really what I needed at this stage of the race, just trying to keep it consistent and drive my own lines.
Just managed the gap to the car behind. We think he's got a time penalty.
Now Don's got past SJ in front, who either is really struggling on his tyres more so than I am, or else might have some front wing damage, I'm not too sure, but definitely started to slow up quite quickly. And over the course of this lap we should start to make even more time inroads into that gap, and already just into that turn 3 braking zone, a massive gain there. And at some point this lap hopefully trying to set up a move to get up into P6. But a very close moment there, almost running into the back of him and just dropped off a little bit away again, and B Morgan behind very close to us. So trying to make this move as quickly as possible really, and hopefully build that gap to the super soft runners again. And here we go on the back DRS straight, just a much better run, increasing the ERS mode up the inside and still holding it around the outside of us, but up into the next corner we just squeeze him out, and that is P6 for the time being. So somewhere at the end of that lap, Dale's made his way through behind us into P7 and already putting the pressure on us with those slightly healthier super soft tyres, and he's got a fantastic run down here, and to be honest at this point I just decided to let him go, and that's not what we needed. Unfortunately B Morgan just missing his braking point there, and we've been pushed off into the gravel and made a complete mess of trying to rejoin as well, costing us a lot of time, and that right there is effectively race over, trying to keep out the way of these guys as I rejoin, but the tyres are absolutely shot and overheated from that trip into the gravel. And look at that, no apex speed at all, but off into the wall and just making a bad situation even worse here. The only good news here, as you saw just before that incident, was I had called Jeff to say I was boxing this lap, so we can still come in, put on the soft tyres and go to the end of the race. Unfortunately, Jeff did not have the same idea, and without my knowing he's switched my strategy onto the super soft, so I'm going to have to make another stop later in the race, and if my race wasn't finished already it is now, rejoining as last runner, 17th out of 17 still in the race. My only hope now for a decent result is a safety car. With 20 laps to go it's definitely possible, but quite a depressing point to be hoping for. We're jumping ahead very quickly to lap 21, not a lot of interest in this stint, but this is where I decide to box for another fresh set of supers, so if a safety car were to come out I'd be able to push all the way to the end with no worries about tyre wear.
Stay clear of the white line on the exit. Receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross over into the track.
So I think we've actually had a couple more retirements from the race at this point, down to 15 runners, with Hamres as well having some issues of his own, so we have made it up to P14, which is not a bad position if the safety car were to come out at this point. Having put on the fresh super softs, we could easily make our way back into the points, with those in front not really able to risk coming into the pits for fresh tyres for loss of track position. And so close there, it's the virtual safety car rather than the full course caution, and that's it was truly gutting that moment. I thought that was it, but unfortunately not. I believe that VSC was for B Morgan, who crashed out at the 11-12 fast chicane, which does put us up to P13. We come on now to my final lap of the race, lap 28, having been lapped by the leaders. Coming home P11 on track, although I believe Slossy's ghost car actually finishes ahead after our 3-second time penalty is applied.
Final lap of the race.
Jeff there as well getting confused that we've actually finished the race. But big congratulations to my teammate Don on the 3rd place podium finish, holding off the runners on quicker tyres at the end there. And also P1 and P2 going to a couple of the reserve drivers from our league, so congratulations to them as well. Like I said at the start of the video, hopefully from the next race at Bahrain I'll be doing live comms with Don and a slightly different setup from this video, and just there a confirmation of the final results. Quite a disappointing race for me, but there we go, it is what it is. And if you got this far, thanks for watching.